Okay, let's shift gears a little bit now and start talking about getting started with diabetes reversal. By this time, that's the biggest question that's on just about everybody's mind. What do I need to do? Well, one of the first things somebody mentioned out here was exercise. Well, we could all ramp it up and do lots of exercise, but there is a wonderful form of exercise that is producing very good results. So it's called burst training. It's also known as interval training. You can look, or high intensity interval training. You can look any of those terms up on the internet and you'll come up with answers right away. Before you engage in any kind of exercise, be sure that you okay it with your doctor, that your doctor says you're healthy enough to do this, and then you can get started. Compared with treadmills and hour-long aerobics classes, burst training helps you burn fat more efficiently and quickly. It actually has been shown to produce 9 times greater benefit than standard aerobic workout. Now, what you do in burst training is you're going to do vigorous training, your intensity exercise, vigorous intensity exercise for 20 to 60 seconds. And remember, by the way, you have to build up to this, okay? I have seen some people, and they're getting up there and they're starting to do a burst routine, but they're only able to go about this fast. If that's all you can do, that's fine. We haven't been moving as a society. Tennessee happens to be one of the bottom 3 states in physical activity. We are a state of couch potatoes. Georgia is a little better, but they're, anyway. We'll come back to that. So, after you've done your 20 seconds of intense exercise, then you rest for 1 to 2 minutes. And then you go back and do 20 more seconds of intense exercise. You want to rest long enough to sort of catch your breath. And what you'll have is you'll have a period of intense exercise, rest, period of intense exercise and rest. Keep it up. Start out with at least 5 reps and go to 10 reps of this intense exercise. And you can do any form of exercise you want to. It could be running in place. It could be hoeing in the garden. It could be pushing the lawnmower. It could be doing sit-ups. But whatever you do, do it with just as much intensity as you can, and then rest. And you want to stack these up, one right on top of another. Preferably, you do this whole thing within 15 minutes period of time or less. And what will happen when you do that is your body reaches into the cell, pulls some of the energy out of those little cabinets that are there, throws it into the furnace, and if you don't eat for 1 to 2 hours following, your body will have a slower time building it up. Mark your calendars. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do it every other day, because for 36 to 48 hours after you do the burst training, you're going to be trying to rebuild the energy stores that you just depleted inside the cell. And another thing that will happen when you're doing this kind of burst training, you'll have muscle building, not muscle wasting. And that's also very beneficial to us. So, there's also an increased sensitivity to insulin, which happens during this time. Very desirable for somebody that's experiencing diabetes. So we want to go there. We want to make this happen. There are other benefits that are involved in this. You increase your lean muscle mass. You have improved cardiovascular health. You experience higher levels of human growth hormone. Yes, even adults need human growth hormone. It keeps our muscles firm and strong, keeps us operating efficiently. You will have increased energy and also decreased inflammation in your body. So, we're going to talk about how diabetes progresses. And it starts really with the standard American diet. Now, in literature, they call that SAD, S-A-D, Standard American Diet. And it really is a sad diet because it's gotten us into a lot of trouble here. It is high in refined carbohydrates, saturated and trans fats, but it's low in fiber, in vitamins and minerals, and in antioxidants and phytonutrients. Now, those things will play in pretty big as we get along to talk about this. Now, I understand of those of you that may have a medical orientation that my description here may be very simplistic. Diabetes is an extremely complex disorder. But we have to break it down into pieces that are understandable. So let's try to make this understandable. When I eat the standard American diet, because I'm eating all those refined carbohydrates and sugars and high fats and things like that, it's going to result in me having an elevated blood sugar. Now, your body, in response to an elevated blood sugar, is going to secrete higher levels and higher levels of insulin as this goes on. Insulin also happens to be a food storage hormone, and so it's going to result in weight gain. On the other hand, because my blood sugar is high, I have feelings of lethargy. That means you're tired all the time. When you're tired, what are you going to do? You're going to lay down on the couch. That's natural human response. When you're tired, you lay down. When you're laying down, you have decreased levels of activity. When you're eating all this high-caloric food and you have lower levels of activity, what happens? You have weight gain. So, now, in addition to that, what begins happening here is insulin also causes hunger. And because it causes hunger, if you're hungry, what are you going to do? Eat. It's a natural human response. We just do that, okay? But that will lead to overeating. And then when it leads to overeating, that leads to increased blood sugar, which is going to cause insulin levels to go up. It's going to make you have more lethargy, etc. The cycle continues. And then it also causes insulin resistance over a period of time. As your cells become more and more insulin resistant, it eventually gets to the place where you can't keep this blood sugar normal anymore. And the blood sugar begins to rise. And as that happens, and as your weight stores go up, you're going to learn later on that increased weight actually leads to inflammation. And because you have inflammation, you have hormones like cortisol that are excreted into the bloodstream, and that causes elevated blood sugars. And then we have, over a period of time as this continues, you'll have pancreatic fatigue that sets in. The pancreas just gets worn out. In fact, by the time you're diagnosed with diabetes, it's operating at about 50% capacity. And that, in turn, will lead to less insulin being produced. If less insulin is produced and you already have a blood sugar problem, it's going to make that a lot worse. And it also, as you gain weight, going right along with insulin resistance, we have another problem, and that's called leptin resistance. And we're going to talk more about that later. But for now, understand that if you become leptin resistant, it's going to cause your metabolism to slow down. And when your metabolism slows down, you're burning less calories, because metabolism means how fast you're burning your calories. You're burning these sugars, how fast you're using them up. And so that's going to result in weight gain. So there we have it. What are we going to do about it? How do we get started and reverse this diabetes process? Now, you do have handouts with you, and I hope you will find down toward the end of the second section there, you find these sections that talk about fiber and foods, okay? Make lots of notes there. If you don't understand something, please write down questions and ask me later. But a person needs to get at least 50 grams of fiber in their diet a day. Now the average American gets 8 to 10 grams a day. And if you start tomorrow eating 50 grams, by this weekend, you're not going to like me. Because you'll have lots of intestinal gas and bloating. You're not going to be nice to be around, and you're going to be very uncomfortable. The amazing thing is your body is built to adapt to our environment. And when we eat higher levels of fiber, your body begins making an enzyme that will help you digest that fiber so it doesn't sit in your intestines and ferment. And over a period of time, you're going to adjust to that. So we need to increase our intake slowly on the fiber. So our goal for this week, the first week that you do this, would be to go to 20 to 25 grams. And then 20 grams for females, 25 grams for the males, because men eat more, and it needs to be a percentage of what you eat. What happens with this fiber is it actually makes a gel in your intestine. And when it makes that gel, when something's suspended in a gel, molecules can't move as fast through the gel as it can move through water. And so it makes the sugars be absorbed more slowly, which is very advantageous. It feeds you over a long period of time. So fiber intake, you want to increase your fibers slowly and learn about that. Now, there are some resources out here that we're going to talk about in just a minute that you can take advantage of that will help you know how much fiber are in what foods so you know you don't overload it too badly right at first, okay? If you have too much gas the one day, realize you've eaten just slightly too much fiber food, back off just a little bit, and try to hold it steady, but keep increasing. Within about 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to be up to the 50 grams of fiber. You'll do fine, and okay, we can move on. Let's talk about diet. What we want to do is eat high nutrient foods. The nutrients are going to be key to making this reversal happen. So people say, well, what are the high nutrient foods? They are the colorful fruits and vegetables, etc. So an easy rule of thumb is if you eat every color of the rainbow every day, you're getting the nutrient load that you need. So eat a variety of these foods. Make them they're naturally low calorie, which is very desirable because we need to lose weight if we're going to reverse the diabetes. Put something fresh with every meal, at least one fresh serving, preferably more. If you would do just one fresh serving, you would double your nutrient intake for the day. So that's usually fairly easy for most people to do. If you're eating breakfast, have a piece of fruit with breakfast. If you're eating lunch, have a salad or something on the side. For dinner, make sure that you have a good, substantial, something fresh with the meal. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to replace toxic foods with healing foods. That's going to bring a lot of good changes in for us. So weight loss is imperative if you're going to lose weight. If you have prediabetes and you lose only 2 pounds and keep it off, you will decrease your risk of ever getting diabetes by 11 to 12%. That's a lot of difference for just 2 little pounds. If you happen to lose 10 pounds, you will lower your risk of getting diabetes by 60% unless you're over 65, and then it's 70%. So as we age, it has a bigger impact, the weight loss. If you have diabetes, the average person with diabetes must lose 15 to 20% of their body weight in order to be able to reverse their diabetes. And for a 200-pound individual, that would be in the neighborhood of 34 pounds. So some of you really do well with geeky stuff. If you can put something on your smartphone, helps you keep track of calories, helps you keep track of fiber grams and all that kind of stuff. There is an app out there. It's called myfitnesspal.com. You can go to the App Store and just download it for free onto your phone and start applying it. It has several million recipes on there. More than likely, they have what you want. If they don't have it, you can enter your own recipe and it stores it for you. People often eat the repetitive type things. That'll help you control this idea, set weight loss goals and all kinds of things. So it's helpful for some people if you're one of those. Exercise is also important. You need to do burst training 3 to 6 times a week. Avoid eating just before or right after doing this intensive type of exercise. Still not good to eat and then go swimming or to do intensive exercise. So then do moderate exercise for 20 minutes following each meal. Can't tell you the reasons why right now. We'll get into that in just a little bit later, but that's something you need to do. And it's also beneficial to do weight training. Average person tends to lose about a half a pound of muscle mass a year from the time they're in their mid-30s on to the rest of their life. By the time the average person's 75 years of age, they can't bend over and pick up more than 10 pounds off the floor. So we don't want to lose muscle mass. As we lose muscle mass, we lose sugar burning capacity. So just a few reps a week of burst training is enough to help us maintain that half a pound muscle mass. Water, it's extremely important, especially as you're increasing fiber grams, that you get adequate water. A few people may experience constipation as a result of increased fiber. Most people experience looser bowels, but some people will experience constipation. It's usually simply because they haven't been drinking enough water. Thirst often is mistaken for hunger. So if you feel hungry in between meals, set your watch for 30 minutes and drink a glass or two of water. See if those hunger feelings don't go away with the water. It might work for you, and you'll eat less, and it'll help you achieve weight loss goals. People who drink more actually do end up eating less. Then we want to learn how to do high fiber recipes. This means a big change for some people. So be adventuresome, plan for success, and then share your successes with other people. Take them to potluck or swap recipes with other people that you know that have diabetes. Help them invite them over, have dinner together, but share those things. That'll help you be more successful. And high blood sugar, it makes you feel bad, but it also gives us warnings. And if you start to feel shaky, test before you snack. Okay? A low blood sugar kills. You have symptoms from both high blood sugar and low blood sugar, but you really don't know until you test. I have people in the hospital all the time. They'll call me to the room and say, "Can you bring me a Coke? I'm just feeling real shaky. I got to have a pick-me-up." And I say, "Well, I'll be right back." I go get the sugar machine, come in, check their blood sugar. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be high. 234. Well, I think we can pass on the Coke. Can I get you some water? How about a diet drink or something? Let's stay away from the sugars. We don't need to do that right now. So test often. Some people say, "Well, I don't like sticking my finger." Well, if you're going to engage in something like a diabetes reversal program impacts your blood sugars. You ought to be a responsible enough individual to say, "I may be taking my own life in my own hands here. I need to know what my sugars are running." So test. If you're successful with the diabetes reversal, your doctor is going to tell you, you don't have to keep on testing. Your sugars have been running normal for the last month. So anyway, be responsible about what you do here. And then on the learning, one of the books that we introduce people to is this book. It's been out for a little while now, but an excellent resource for people with diabetes. It's called The Full Plate Diet, and it's how to lose weight without being hungry. Karen just happens to have a copy here in her hand. It's colorful. It's just a wonderful resource to have here. And show us just a little bit about the book. It has in here what it calls fiber wheels. This one's a salad fiber wheel. You have a pizza fiber wheel, and there's soup, and there's a variety of these. They're actually recipes, and you'll notice that going around here, you have choices of ingredients. You're going to choose one ingredient from each one. It tells you what the ingredient is that you should put in. It tells you how many grams of fiber. And so by the time you get done assembling your recipe, which has multiple variants, you know how much fiber you're going to be eating, and you can have this wonderful new high fiber food. I remember one day I decided I was going to really try to mess one of these recipes up because I couldn't believe something this flexible could turn out good every time. So I sat about cooking a soup. They have a soup, chili stew fiber wheel. Took this recipe, and I went into the kitchen and I purposefully tried to mess it up put the worst ingredient in out of every category. Called Karen to the table. We sat down. She took the first bite, got up and left the table. Went and got a piece of paper, came back, sat down. She says, I've got to remember this. This is fabulous. So, I mean, high fiber, some people say, ew, high fiber, ugh. No. It is delicious stuff. So this is really an adventure that you can take yourself on, but you have to try it. The average person, actually, the average lady in the kitchen, you know how many meals she prepares? It's usually only 10 meals with subtle variations. So all you have to do is learn 10 new menus, right? That's not too hard to do, is it? If you learn one new menu a week, hey, I've got 8 meals right here in the fiber wheels. And that's all. Well, as we do our program, we will do a pasta demonstration. And we'll bring all the options up here and put it on the table. And then the people can call out from the audience and say, well, this one, I want that one. I don't put broccoli in, I don't like broccoli. Well, you can put spinach in, or whatever it is, And these people will assemble this pasta salad. When it's done, it's good every time. Good every time. So, hope you enjoy the adventure, and we can move on from there. So what have we learned this time? Well, let's see. Diabetes is sort of a cyclical process as it progresses. It starts with the standard American diet. If it starts with the standard American diet, what do you think the solution might start at? Yeah, it's going to start right there too. If we change what we eat, if we change what we exercise, we can make small changes that will yield big results. And we're going to talk more about those as we head into our next sessions.